All right. I have two different clocks in my office, but it looks like we're about ready to start. So welcome to the May program for the National Kidney Foundation of Wisconsin, which we tonight are collaborating with our partners at the American Liver Foundation, and we're very, very grateful to the American Liver Foundation for working with us to offer tonight's program. And tonight we have, I think, a very relevant topic, and so we're also grateful to Dr. El-Meanawy. John, is this, do we have any other slides, John, or will we be, there we go. All right, so, all right, so hopefully those of you joining us via Zoom as well as Facebook, tonight our guest speaker is an amazing volunteer with the National Kidney Foundation of Wisconsin, and there I am for those of you that might not be able to see me or are joining us on Facebook. I think my hair looks better on the slide than it does for those of you that are seeing me on Facebook. So maybe put the two together, etc. So these are monthly programs that we offer to hopefully increase awareness and answer some of the questions that you might have about maintaining your own health in terms of wellness, etc. So next slide. As I said, we do these programs collaboratively with the American Liver Foundation, the Midwest chapter, and representing them tonight is Chad Dunning. And Chad, just a few words from you and welcome.
Yes, thank you, Cindy. I just want to welcome everyone who joined us tonight. This is a great topic. Especially with what's going on right now and with patients not being able to get in to see their doctors physically. But once again, thank you for all joining us tonight.
And Chad, you're personally affected, correct? So tonight's topic is of special interest to you.
Yes, I'm personally affected. 5.5 years ago, I received a liver transplant. Doing really well right now, even with the conditions that are going on right now in the society today, but being very, very safe, trying to be very, very safe from others. And tell you the truth, I haven't even gone into a grocery store. My wife's been doing all the grocery shopping right now. So,
Well, Dr. El-Meanawy is probably going to compliment you on that as a physician. So thanks, Chad. And then joining us tonight, I did potentially mention for those of you that were on a little bit earlier, we have Amanda Pollock, who's a staff member at the National Kidney Foundation, and another great volunteer behind the scenes, and that's John Hacker. And so both of them are providing support. And so we're grateful, again, for all of us, all of you joining us. And Cynthia from Arizona, Dr. El-Meanawy, she wants you to know it's 95 degrees. So next slide, John.
I can take dry heat anytime. So just for her, I used to play soccer in 110-degree weather. So 90 minutes in 110 weather.
All right, she might have a comeback for you on Facebook. So again, just a couple of comments, but patient safety is one of our key tenets here at the National Kidney Foundation of Wisconsin. Many of you probably know that we provide free medical alert jewelry, both necklaces and bracelets for patients. We've done that for a number of years in terms of patient safety. Tonight's program is also part of our commitment to patient safety, and as Chad mentioned, the topic couldn't be more relevant. Next slide. And this is for those of you that might not know how to get a bracelet. You can just contact our office. You can reach out to your coordinator if you're a transplant recipient. You can email our office, etc., and we'll make sure you do get a form. Next slide. What program live would be not a full program if we didn't have some commercial announcements. And so the National Kidney Foundation, as well as the American Liver Foundation, we can be a charity of choice. And since these particular times find all of us shopping more online, if you go to Amazon Smile, which is a component, and you'll find that on Amazon, you're able to select a charity of choice. And Amazon makes a contribution in terms of your entire purchase. So whether it's the National Kidney Foundation of Wisconsin, the American Liver Foundation, or a charity, a different charity that's close to your heart or the hearts of your family, I would encourage you to really go to Amazon Smile if you do use Amazon and select a charity of choice. And it's an informal way that you can have Amazon support us through your purchase. Next slide, please. And my last commercial announcement is for anyone listening in nationwide. The National Kidney Foundation does vehicle recycling. And so when you call that 1-800 number or go to the kidneycars.org website, you'll be benefiting the proceeds of donating a car, truck, van, boat, snowmobile, jet ski, I'm trying to think, RV. You'll be benefiting the kidney patients that are in that particular state. So no matter where you are in the country, the 1-800-488-CARS number, etc. And I'm very excited to report that the towing is free of charge, and they'll come to pick up, and it is now contactless. They don't leave a Panera sandwich, but they do take away your vehicle. So next slide, please. And this again, I just want you to know that we've been doing virtual programs for many years now, and that we're always at home with you. If you don't follow us on Facebook, I would really encourage you to do that. I know the American Liver Foundation also has a Facebook page. But it's much quicker to let you know about current happenings, current information, and particularly opportunities for you to get connected. So please follow both either the American Liver Foundation, if that's of interest, but for sure the National Kidney Foundation of Wisconsin. Next slide, John. After tonight's program, hopefully you won't have your hands on your head like this person who Dr. El-Meanawy might say that that's not a good pose for that woman in that picture. We are in the midst of planning future programs and really want to hear your opinion in terms of topics that you would like to see other experts address. We're hoping to offer programs not only throughout the summer, but again, as I mentioned, monthly. So you'll see tomorrow we'll be sending out, if you will, a link to SurveyMonkey. It's a very quick survey, and it's your opportunity to give us more feedback here at the National Kidney Foundation of Wisconsin about future health topics, wellness topics, nutrition topics that you would find of interest, because we want to design programs both online and when we're able to come together again in person that are relevant to you, and to bring you experts like the one you'll hear tonight to you, to your living room, to your study, or to your laptop. Next slide, please. And Chad, I don't know if you have any final comments about that, because it's not the end of May yet?
Correct. But right now we have, so what we did is we have 22 walks across the country that went to virtual Liver Life walks. And what we're doing is on May 30th, we're all coming together as one community and supporting those affected by liver disease on May 30th at 11 a.m. And we're all going to ask people to virtually walk together that time. It can be a short distance, long distance, however they want to do it. But just to all get together and come to as one community for it. Right now we have 2 weeks left in our registration, and our registration is free this year. And what you are registering for is we have a 8-week virtual experience that includes a guided mindfulness exercises, family-friendly wellness activities, cooking, crafts, videos, webinars, and information about liver disease as well. That is going on when you register. You will be going into your weekly activities page, and then you could also, we also have a t-shirt contest going on right now where the teams can enter into a t-shirt drawing, which will be going on till May 30th as well. We do have, not only do we have the Wisconsin Walk, which is liverlifewalk.org/Wisconsin, we also have our Twin Cities Walk going on as well in May, on May 30th, and that is liverlifewalk.org/Twin Cities.
Great. Thank you, Chad. And Dr. El-Meanawy, thank you for your patience as we take this opportunity to let our guests know about some of the ways that they can get involved with both of our organizations. So anyway, I was just, distracted by a message. But tonight's speaker is an amazing volunteer, and I'm very proud that he's also a leadership volunteer with us on the National Kidney Foundation statewide board of directors. Dr. El-Meanawy I can't even describe the number of hours that he has volunteered for us in terms of doing community screenings and in terms of our prevention efforts to especially at-risk communities. Tonight he brings his expertise to us from his office on something that is on all of our minds, Dr. El-Meanawy, and that is something maybe a lot of us weren't even thinking about. We might have heard about it just a little bit, but now all of a sudden, telehealth is up front, close and personal. So tonight, Dr. El-Meanawy is going to answer some of the questions that have been submitted ahead of time and add some perspective because he's actively engaged in telehealth. So Dr. El-Meanawy, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me. It's really tough time for a lot of people, and we try to help as much as we can, give our friends at home the support they need. So people always ask, why should I go to the office if I can talk on the computer or a phone to my physician? These are two different things. Why do you need a telehealth visit? The current situation with the lockdown and the COVID-19 disease caused by the SARS-CoV-2 virus forces us to stay away from clinics. And sometimes physically it's difficult for people to go to the doctor's office as much as they can. We've been doing telehealth with patients in the upstate Wisconsin and the Upper Peninsula in Michigan for years and years now, because for them to come to see a specialist in a distance is like 150-mile trip. So sometimes we can do that, and it can be done from home. It can be done from a clinic that doesn't have physician, but that has paramedical people in it. The main difference that you're not going to get a physical exam, but in the same time, you're going to have a discussion. And having a video, this chat is really important. An experienced physician will be able to tell part of your health status simply by looking at you. I was trained by very talented and experienced internist who could walk in the room and actually tell you how sick the person is or not. So the telehealth visit has a video, has an audio, and the patient gets involved by providing the physician some of the information that they need to make the assessment. And in a specialty like nephrology, which is really lab intensive, meaning that we rely heavily on the blood and the urine work, that can be done ahead of time in a safe conditions, and the information get conveyed to your physician to review with you online and when you're chatting with them. Next slide. So it's a rule of thumb, if you feel very sick, you need to be seen in person. But if it's a routine follow-up visit, the annual checkup is a different story. The annual checkup can be pushed away, but annual checkup requires a physical exam, because most of the annual checkup will be used for is health maintenance, and sometimes used for work purpose, for employment, for other things. You need the physical exam aspect of it that cannot be done online. But for other small problems, you can actually do it online. If you feel that you're too sick, ask to be seen in person, or simply if you're nervous. I have patients who are anxious about their kidney health. They're coming close to dialysis and they're afraid. And sometimes I insist on seeing in person. I said, I know that you're coming close to dialysis. I need to lay a hand on you. I need to see you in person so we can actually chat, listen to your heart, and two different things. So it's a mutual decision between you and your doctor. And you be the first judge. Can I do this in telehealth or not?
Dr. El-Meanawy, this is Cindy. I'm just wondering if is the best way to reach out is to use that EMR, that messaging that we're able to do through our electronic medical record that many of us have?
So each organization has their own method of communication. And because of the HIPAA regulation, they need to have all these messages secure. So the EMR is a very good way to communicate. It's not fast enough at times. If somebody is sick and need to talk to somebody, pick up the phone and call. This is the fastest way. But the EHR, the advantage, you give your physician, your provider, the time to read your question and will respond to you in a timely way. But again, if it's an emergency, same way, just pick up the phone and call. They'll get to you faster this way.
Thank you very much, Dr. El-Meanawy.
You are welcome. Next slide. So security. All the healthcare organization, they're really very, very keen on keeping your information safe. Not just because they like to take care of the patient properly, because of the law. The HIPAA, which is Health Insurance Portability Act, that's an old law, was passed in the 90s, has a clause in it that have guidance for protected personal information. So the security of the visit is usually really tight. From the provider side, the risk of the security is usually with the network that you're using. If you're using your phone, usually just a phone call, it's secure. But if you're on a public Wi-Fi, it's always a problem because public Wi-Fi are open and are very difficult to control. And that's why a lot of the carrier will tell you, if you're on a public Wi-Fi, there are measures, like some people don't have access to the internet except through public Wi-Fi. And if this is the case, signing to one of these virtual private network or VPNs, and you can call your network provider and we'll give you guidance how to secure your connection, because the security breach usually happen on the patient side, not on the hospital or the physician side, because all of us use secure methods of communication. All the EMR or EHR methods of communication are really secure, and we make sure that it's secure channel and nobody can listen to it. The public Wi-Fi or unsecure Wi-Fi could be a problem, and even the device that you're using. A lot of people use their own personal phone, and they might have malware on it. So call your network provider. Said, how I know that my phone actually doesn't have malware on it, that people are picking up information that coming through the conversation or even recording it. And that's a way to do it. So don't worry about security. Security is usually safe unless your device itself is not secure. If you're using a computer at home, make sure your antivirus is upgraded. The computer system is upgraded itself, be it an Apple, be it a Microsoft, be it a Linux, be it Chrome. Make sure that the operating system is updated and your antivirus and anti-spyware is updated. Next slide. So privacy is protected by law and by securing the connection. A lot of these connections are encrypted. And if you have something which is not encrypted, it's easy for people to eavesdrop on. The video communication is usually really secure and nobody else can see it, nobody else can listen to it. Even some physicians have opted, because patients don't have access or they work for an office, to use FaceTime. FaceTime, Apple say that they don't record anything. All what they keep is metadata, meaning where the call originated from and where it's going to. Google has something, but most of the physicians, you can actually have them communicate with you on their own electronic health record or some of the servers that provide physicians like Doximity. Make sure that you use a connection that is approved for medical communication. Next slide.
Dr. El-Meanawy, before we leave privacy, what about the potential other individuals you might have follow up with me in terms of, let's say, nurses, etc., or even before the visit, sometimes they contact me about my insurance. Is that also secure communication? So they're communicating over secure links in terms of not just people like yourself as physicians, but some of those other people that are supporting the visit before or after the visit?
Yeah, all of them actually are under the same rules, and the institutions, because of also the hefty penalty that can land on them from the federal government or litigation. All the communication with patients is usually very secure and safe.
Thank you very much. So in other words, a nurse isn't calling me from her dining room table. Thank you.
They should not.
Okay, thank you.
So usually the clinics frequently call you and tell you what to prepare, but it is important to know ahead of time what you need. So you need your device, and need your device to have everything ready, and also preparing few things, like if your physician wants labs, go get the labs ahead of time. If they need x-rays, go get the x-rays or the ultrasound or any of these things ahead of time. And if you have a blood pressure machine at home, which I actually recommend that everybody has, and they're so cheap beyond belief now, and you can buy them in the $30 or $40 range, get your blood pressure at home multiple times before you eat and write them down so you have them ready. If you have a thermometer, take your temperature, and the blood pressure machine will give you the blood pressure, will give you your pulse also, and you'll be able to have that ready for your doctor or provide that when you speak with them. Weighing yourself at home if you have a bathroom scale, believe it or not, especially for kidney and heart visits, is really an important thing. Having excessive weight added suddenly, frequently is just fluid that people are adding, and that's a sign that gives us a warning sign that we need to pay attention to. So have few of the information that you have, your temperature if you can, your blood pressure if you can, your weight, which is a lot of people have a scale at home, and be prepared for this. People who build the fluid, for example, they can actually see, is my sock leaving a mark at the end of the day for the past 3 days? So you can actually be cognizant of the things that you have and prepare questions that you have or the symptoms that you have for your physician. Frequently, people forget to ask what they want to ask, or the something which is the most on their mind. They forget it. So if you write things down, your physician your nurse, anybody will give you a chance, and usually they finish the visit if you don't ask, do you have any other questions for me? And this is the way it should be. And they'll take the time and give you the time that you need to ask all the questions you have, and you can answer. Yes, and if the question is, how long is the typical telehealth visit? If it's a clinic visit, usually it's the same time of the clinic visit. Depending how your physician have their clinic visit structures. A lot of people are 20 minutes. Some of the primary care are 15 minutes. We keep our telehealth visit to 30 minutes because to give my patients long enough time to ask all what's on their mind. You can have any family member with you and attend the visit as much as you want. And it's the same way that you can take somebody else in your office. But if you're sitting in an area which is open and somebody you don't want to be in your visit, then now you're exposing your personal information to somebody else. So don't do it from a public place. It's always better to have it from a room that you're sitting that nobody can listen to the conversation if you want your privacy respected.
So, Dr. El-Meanawy, just to follow up on that, though, if I have, let's say, a spouse or my neighbor come with me, will that person have to, do you check to see if I've authorized that person, or is it a little bit different now with telehealth in that we're in different settings and, you know, versus me coming to your office and bringing someone with me?
So it's always an inferred permission when you bring somebody else in the office. But when we get to health issues that we feel that we want to talk freely, I will say, can I talk in front of X? And you bring in somebody with you, you already give them permission to be in there. It's not the same when you're sitting in a hospital room and you have visitors. So when you bring in people with you, it's different from the physician walking in a hospital room and you have visitors there. If you have visitors there, they have to ask you, are they okay to be there when I examine you or talk to you? But when you bring them with you and you allow them to be on the visit when you know that your physician is going to talk to you, you already have given them permission to listen to this.
Thank you very much. I always kind of wondered about that, so thank you.
You are welcome. So, and anxiety is one of the things actually that affect all of us. And anybody who's listening, don't feel bad that you have anxiety. And anxiety is something that keeps us alive. It's in all animals and insects and mammals. And guess what? If a rabbit or a mouse don't have an anxiety, they'll be eaten in no time, because they're not going to be anxious about staying alive. Something that keeps us alive. It's a protective feeling. Sometimes it gets to be too high and interfere with daily activity, and we're different. Some people have high blood pressure, some people not. So feeling anxious, especially if they haven't seen your doctor for some time, you know you have a medical problem, that is normal. So just rest assured that your physician is always there for you. And prepare, do your homework before the visit, make calls, and that will make you less stressed about the visit. Your privacy is safe. If your physician feels that you need to be seen in person, we'll tell you that, you know what, I need to see you. And personally, I do that. My clinic is full time, but Dr. El-Meanawy, your clinic is full for 3 months. It doesn't matter. If you want to see me, you call my office, and I'll come down and see you outside my clinic visit. So know that once you have a physician, you have a relation, this is one of your family members, and they take care of you as if you're a family member. Most of physicians honestly do it this way. It might not feel the same because they also have the stress of the time constraints in the clinic, but deep at heart, most of them, they're in this business to take care of people.
Dr. El-Meanawy, we have a question from Facebook that Amanda just messaged to me. And this is, it involves anxiety, and it's a little bit more than a telemedicine visit. And you might not be able to answer this in entirety, but very briefly. This is someone that is needing a kidney transplant and is feeling the urgency, but certainly feels worried about COVID-19. And just without going into a lot of detail, just is it safe to get a transplant? And this person is evidently on the waiting list, waiting for a deceased, an organ from a deceased donor. You know, it's a little off topic, so maybe be brief, but it does relate to, I think, the anxiety overall, and might speak to just in general how overall people like you and maybe your transplant colleagues, maybe I assume that there's always safety in mind first and do no harm, but are you able to just briefly address the anxiety that a kidney patient might feel right now, that if they got that call, you know, to go in?
I'm glad you brought this one up, because this is a problem that is happening to the extent that some patients who need to be seen by their physicians, not transplant, they don't go out of fear. And this is a problem. Hospitals and clinics probably are much safer than the grocery store. And we take all precautions. It is safe to go. They're taking all possible measures to make sure that you're safe. Just wear your mask before you go in. Same thing when you go in the grocery store. The clinics and hospitals are very clean. And dialysis clinics, for example, are still running because people cannot stop getting dialysis. And the instance of people getting COVID, they usually get it from home somewhere else. It's not in the dialysis unit. People thought that COVID-19 disease will be running like crazy in dialysis center because they cannot stay home, they have to come. But no, it's not. It's happening, and they get it from the community. We have measures to protect people. So don't worry about this. Transplant is a life-saving, and it's a gift that you get, and you have the chance to get it, have the chance to put yourself in line sooner. Don't delay this one. Go.
Yeah, and Dr. El-Meanawy, while I'm not an expert, we did at last month's program have someone from the organ procurement organization. So Gustavo, this is Cindy Huber. I will say that professional from the organ procurement organization, so in other words, they're the organization that go out and recover organs from deceased donors and then make sure those get to the transplant center. I will say that on Dr. El-Meanawy spoke to maybe some of your anxiety and the safeness, if you will, and the precautions that are always in place in our hospitals and transplant centers and dialysis units. But on the other end of the coin, the professional that was part of our program at last month definitely highlighted that there is always screening of the deceased donor organs, and they've actually added significant additional screening. So those organs that are offered for transplant to the transplant centers, you can, as Dr. El-Meanawy, be assured that they have gone through not just the regular scrutiny that they do, but there's added scrutiny on all parts of that equation. Correct, Dr. El-Meanawy?
Yes. And the tests that we have, they're very sensitive, so we'll be able to tell right away.
Thank you, Gustavo, for sending that question. Thank you. I think we're ready to go on, Dr. El-Meanawy.
Yeah. So the prepare, I think we went through part of this before. Have your questions ready. Communicate with your physician's office and see, do I need any tests before the visit? So you can get it ahead of time, so the results will be available for your physician. Again, if you can get your blood pressure done, and if you don't, there's a lot of places, including Walgreens, CVS, Walmart, these clubs, they have actually blood pressure machines that you put your arm in it and you can get your blood pressure checked. Knowing your blood pressure is a good thing to know. If you have your temperature, it's okay, but it's not a must. and have that information ready. Write all your questions down. Write all the symptoms that you have. Had something a week ago and want to tell your doctor about, put it down, because people forget. When they get to that point, they forget, not because their memory is bad, because it's new to them to do a telehealth visit, and it just falls through the crack. Man, I wanted to ask that question, it didn't happen. So the test will be decided by your doctor. And if you have any question, you can always, it's a two-way communication. So you can ask any question that you have to your physician or a nurse that you're talking to, and it goes back and forth, and they'll listen to you and they'll answer all your questions if they can.
So Dr. El-Meanawy, you'd encourage me to put them like in a notebook or jot them down in my phone and bring that with me to the visit so I could refer to that list of questions, correct?
Yeah, it's always a good, even if you go in person, it's not a bad idea to write things down and put them in a notepad, phone, any way you want to write it down so you can refer to them and say, it's like having a shopping list to go into a grocery store, because we don't want to come back home and realize that we forgot the cheese.
You're making me hungry, Dr. El-Meanawy, so okay.
So will the doctor review all the information at the end of the visit? Most of the physician will do, but some of the physician will have an assistant who will type down. When you go in a regular office visit, when you're leaving, they give you a piece of paper called after visit summary. That will have in it all the information that transpired and then instructions when you go home. So either themselves will type it down and send it to you, or their assistant will actually write it down and send it to you, like our assistants at the institution of work at. They will end up writing the after visit summary and pass it to the patient in the form of regular mail or my chart message, which is the EHR method of communication that we have, to tell them what to do, what medication change that's happening, what labs are expected in the future, the next visit, and warning signs and things we'd like you to pay attention to. Yes, they will tell you that. So visit is done, you left the grocery store, and you forgot the cheese. So one of two options, you're already home. I really want cheese today, I'm gonna go back now. So you pick up the phone and call, and they'll pass the information answer. If you feel the question is something that can wait till the next visit, you can always see it next visit. But always feel free to send questions by EHR, or electronic health record, secure method of communication, or making a phone call to the doctor's office. Say, I forgot to ask that question. Can I ask it now? And we'll get back to you. So the follow-up, if you have labs that are ordered during the visit, because some physicians will ask you to get the labs that they know what they want. So they have the labs before the visit, and you get them, so they already have discussed with you. But sometimes after we see a patient, we say, you know what, I need more things done, or I want you to check your blood pressure over the coming 2 days. So frequently you get a phone call, or you get another communication from the physician or their office to tell you, you know what, we checked on the labs you just did, everything is okay, or we checked on the labs, let's change this medication, or we checked on the labs, I want you to repeat the lab again in 2 weeks after you do X, Y, and Z at home. So it all depends what is will need to be added. So they'll be always keep in touch with you after the visit.
Dr. El-Meanawy, you talked about labs, but what about, let's say you change my medication or add a medication. So I assume some of the things you've said is the exact same thing. So if I start experiencing side effects, or I don't experience whatever change that the change in medication you prescribed for me, that also I assume you'd encourage me to pick up the phone and do that same kind of follow-up, right? So it's not just about laboratory things, but it could also be the medications, or if you say X or Y, I assume, correct?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, medication, anybody can become allergic to anything at any time. Even a food that you've been eating forever, you can become allergic to it. So medications can have allergy, and if you have allergy or a side effect that some people simply don't tolerate the medicine that they're taking, give them side effect. An example of this, take a medication that starts to make you feel dizzy, you're almost passing out. So if you have a severe effect, you stop the medicine immediately and you call your doctor. If it's something which is really small, like if I took it one of every 4 times I took it, my stomach felt a bit uneasy. Continue to take the medication and call your doctor's office. So it all depends on the side effect or the effect of the medication that you have, or medication that the expected effect that, for example, we'll go back to, it's gonna lower your blood pressure. Your blood pressure is too high. After 3 or 4 days, your blood pressure should start coming down. It's been a week and my blood pressure still is high. Don't wait till the next visit to communicate with your doctor. Just call them right away. Yes, I took the medication and my blood pressure is still at the numbers you told me. It's a warning sign you need to call for. So side effects or loss of unexpected effect of the medication or allergy or anything, just call the office.
Dr. El-Meanawy, I assume a side effect also that you'd want to know about is any change in my mood or my sleep, right? So it might not be, let's say, the blood pressure, but all of a sudden I might be more restless or I might feel more down, because medications sometimes do have other kinds of side effects as it relates to maybe my mental health or my sleep patterns, correct? So I should also reach out to you after my telehealth visit, especially if there has been a change, correct, in my medication?
Absolutely. A lot of medication will do that, like depression or fatigue or restlessness or lack of sleep or sleeping too much can happen. Although it doesn't happen in everybody we give medication to, but it can happen to you. And once it happened to you, you need to let us know so we can either change the dose, change the medication all completely, or see what's happening here. So every place or every healthcare organization have online resources. National Kidney Foundation is one of the best resources for kidney disease, honestly. Go on the National Kidney Foundation website, call your local National Kidney Foundation. These are volunteers who dedicated their life to make your life better. So they prepare the material, they have everything available for you. Your doctor's office, they always have online resources. Try to avoid the non-reliable sources, because non-reliable sources will make you more anxious and in the same time can lead you in a direction that can do something which is harmful. There's so much information on the internet. My favorite is there's a Verizon commercial that person trusting the internet blindly about what they do and the outcome is not that great. So trusting what you read in the internet, anybody can put any information in the internet. Make sure you get your information from a reliable source like the healthcare organization that you go to, National Kidney Foundation, National Institute of Health, which has a huge resource. If you have any search engine, you can go on their website, and if you Google telehealth and your name of your organization, they'll have a lot of things. Yes, there are good articles and websites. So the articles are available. I'll get some links for you, Cindy, to put them in for a couple articles about telehealth, National Institute of Health, and your own healthcare providers will have in their own website how and the value of telehealth. There's so many information out there. As long as you don't get misinformation, you're in a good shape. So we'll see if anybody has any questions.
Are there any other questions? Chad, have you done a telehealth visit? I'm kind of curious because you did share that, you know, you are a transplant recipient. Have you done a telehealth visit?
No, I haven't done telehealth visit, but I have done, well, I should say I've done telehealth with when I've gone to pick up at remote pharmacies, when I've done the telehealth, when I went to pick up my prescription where they didn't have a pharmacist there, they actually did a telehealth that way. But I did have a question for Doctor. So on the video office visit, does that only include the doctor and the patient, or can another person or persons be added to the visit? Example, if the patient is sick here, but they want their daughter or son to be able to join in and figure out and hear what they are kind of determining on the patient, can they be added into the teleoffice as well?
So they can, but the platform could be the restrictive one. So some of platforms will allow, platform meaning that the method that they're connected with the visit. Some of them will have a multiple parties in the same visit, like the meeting that we have now in Zoom. This is a platform that allows for more than one person. WebEx, the Cisco WebEx allow that. Some other platforms are one-on-one, but if you want somebody else to be in, they can always call in and put them on speakerphone. And we can do that. Physicians are always very resourceful in getting that done and connecting patients through. We can do that. If you want your son, your daughter, even your spouse who's in a different state want to know what to be on that visit, because feels, you know, I want to ask a few questions myself. So it can be done. But the platform will be the one that will make a difference. How many people, and can they all be on video, or some will be video and some audio only. Some telehealth visits are purely audio because people don't have access to video. You have a flip phone, they don't have a computer, and this is all what they have. Or they have a landline and they have no access to any device.
So Dr. El-Meanawy, this is an uneducated question, but kind of what about specialty visits, like a podiatrist who normally might look at my feet? I mean, you talked about, you know, weight and blood pressure and taking my temperature, but what about like a dermatology visit? Because perhaps as a recipient, I need to have those screenings regularly, or a podiatrist, I might have diabetes, and therefore I'm seeing a podiatrist to, if you will, take a look at my diabetic foot care. How are things where normally there would be more of an examination happening? And perhaps that is a far afield question, but many of us have comorbid things, or because we might be recipients or have one condition, it does affect other parts of our body, if that makes sense. And so we might be seen by specialists.
So this is an important, and going back, I just want to stress, telehealth is not going to be the way that we do physician visits from now on. It's not, it's an auxiliary thing in specific situations. And seeing your physician in person is still important. And some, they cannot do it by telehealth, because podiatrists, for example, if it's a bone thing, they have to feel by hand and to put pressure point, and they'll be able to do that. Dermatology, some of the dermatologists, they found that they can actually use the patient camera to have a local exam, like, oh, what I have is a rash on my arm. I'm going to show you in the rash, take a picture of it and pass it to you, high definition picture, pass it to you. At the VA, actually, our dermatologists have been doing a lot of telehealth visits because they trust that they can get good images that allow them to examine the area, but it's not the same. So some visits are really less effective through a video or a phone conference. Some are not, and you're still going to need to show up in person and have the person examine you.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering if I'm ever going to get back to see a podiatrist or a dentist ever again. But you made an important comment that this is just going to be, it's a tool in your toolbox as it relates to clinical care for patients. So it will be with us and continue to be with us in the future, but it won't be replacing. It's just another array of things, correct?
Yeah, that will never replace. And just word of warning, if you feel that you need to see your doctor, please go. In different parts of the world, some people actually had exposed themselves to risk and died because they were afraid to go to see their doctor. And this is a problem. By the way, you mentioned dentists. I just saw my dentist 2 days ago. He opened his office and saw me. So they have their own precautions. They've taken all the precaution more than anybody else. So you'll be able to see your podiatrist in the very near future. And it's just a safety measure that we're taking now. And after this, life will gradually scale up and we'll be able to see everybody in person again, which is going to take precautions. And hopefully a vaccine will be ready, or a treatment that will make the disease not as bad and as scary as it is now. So many people working on it worldwide, and hopefully we'll find a solution very soon.
Well, good. And Dr. El-Meanawy, I look forward to you joining us in the fall when we'll focus a little bit more on some of your research work as well as kind of the importance of clinical trials. But that's something we all have to look forward to in terms of having you be a guest speaker again. So I'm just so honored that you joined us tonight. I mean, Dr. El-Meanawy, as I said at the beginning, is an amazing volunteer for the National Kidney Foundation of Wisconsin, and I am personally grateful to you for the many, many, many hours that you devote to us behind the scenes. And tonight I'm glad that we got to share your expertise a little bit with the world. So thank you, Dr. El-Meanawy, for joining us tonight.
Anytime. The pleasure was all mine. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And again, look for the survey that we'll be emailing out. We really do, here at the National Kidney Foundation, value your opinion and input. I think you can see by the caliber of tonight's questions, and I am grateful to John, who also shared questions from his perspective based on a recent telehealth visit. We were able to gather questions that, again, I think, Dr. El-Meanawy, you addressed perfectly. Again, we hope to have this recording. We'll just edit a little bit maybe as we got started and as we were waiting for people. And that will be posted, and you'll be able to see these PowerPoint slides and hear and see Dr. El-Meanawy again. And that will be posted on the National Kidney Foundation of Wisconsin YouTube channel. So again, I'm grateful to the American Liver Foundation, Chad, for your help over these past many months coming up with some of these topics and for your participation and support. And again, I'm thankful for and grateful to both Amanda and John for volunteering behind the scenes. For those of you that joined us on Facebook Live tonight, I'm grateful that we were able to have you join us, and for those of you that joined us live tonight on Zoom, and those of you that might be listening afterwards. So thank you very much from the National Kidney Foundation of Wisconsin. Have a great rest of the evening and a very happy Memorial Day weekend. Good night.
Thank you.